Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. My name is Rusty Pepper,
And I'm Maddy Alcala.
and together we explore the fascinating world of print on demand. And we are back from summer break. Welcome back, Maddy
Yes.
Alcala.
Welcome back, Mr. Pepper. Though I don't think you really took a break. You've created so much content this summer, which is good for you, but outside of the podcast. So this is just another feather in your cap at this point.
It is just another feather in my little Pocahontas headwear that I like to put on, and I just keep over there on the shelf. But I
As
took a
long as
break.
it's print on demand hat, no one cares.
Exactly. I actually took a small break. I did. I didn't go anywhere as exotic as you did, but we went up to Montana and we had a great time. It's hard. My age my kids are there. You've got to be able to squeeze in these vacations when people can get off work and everything else to come in. And I was fortunate to be able to get all the kids under one roof, which was amazing. But yeah, we ended up going up to beautiful Whitefish, Montana.
That is awesome. It's a beautiful part of the country. And I know
It
you had a
was.
really good trip. You needed it too. This first half of the year, we were on the road like every week, it felt like.
It was insanity. It was great. I loved every minute of it. We had a great time. I mean, two big trips, lots of events we covered. But before we talk about that, I want to go back to you though. Let's talk about how was your break?
I have had a crazy summer. It's flown by.
Yeah.
My little guy is 2.5 now, so he's just been busy, busy, busy. So I've been chasing after him. I did take a vacation, though, a couple days. I went over to Italy with some friends, long-standing trip. So got back from that a few weeks ago, which was lovely, and have had my hands full with Guten. It's been a big summer for us. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's August though. Like,
I
still
know.
feels like it should be June. I don't know if you feel the same way.
So I work out of my house, and having everybody home changes the dynamics. And so when they started school this week, I was so we're recording this that second week in August, and they
Yep,
are back in school, which is so nice. Having everybody gone.
that is
It's
nice.
quiet. It's peaceful. Back in the schedule. My favorite time of year.
Love it. Well, that's kind of our theme, I think, of this episode is we took our summer vacations and reset a little bit, and now it's back to school for print on demand. So I'm excited for our fall. We've got some really cool guest speakers and content coming up, but why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what we have planned?
Yeah, I do agree that the break was nice. I miss doing these sessions. I miss talking with you on
Yes.
recording these sessions. I miss talking to the guests. I miss going to the events. But it is nice to have to travel.
Mm,
But let's talk about what we have coming up in the fall, because we have been planning. One thing even though we really weren't recording, we were still doing quite a bit behind the scenes, prepping and planning and scheduling guests for what we're going to do in the fall. And it'll be a little bit different dynamic because in the spring, we had two European tours, lots of facility visits. We did, I can't read. I probably should have counted how many events that we went to, but some pretty big ones. And we were able to talk to some amazing people. Going in the fall is going to be a little bit different because there's not as many events. We got Printing United, Visual First. I'm trying to think of, there may be a few others that we pop in there, but a lot of our content this year and conversations are going to be around talking to business leaders and executives from across the print on demand industry. And that is what I'm really excited about, because some of the conversations we've already recorded have been really good and just fascinating conversations and discussions. So that's what we got planned for this fall. I know that there'll be a few little surprises that we'll put in there from, there'll be a trip or two that we'll find, but yeah, overall, big plans for the fall, and I'm actually excited to be able to have these conversations and really share some of the insights and knowledge that our guests will have.
I'm excited too, and I think it will be a great comparison to what we did in the spring because we did so many interviews this spring with a lot of different people, but a lot of times it was much more rapid fire. We're going to ask you three questions. We've just pulled you aside at a trade show. Whereas, our recent conversation we recorded and the ones we have, we talk to these people for 30 minutes. We can get into a lot deeper topics and their backgrounds and their history and their vision and their views. And I think it's going to create some really interesting episodes. And we're going to try to have too, I think, a good mix. We've got more from the demand and brand side of things. We've got distributors, we've got suppliers, we've got technology partners. designers. And not everyone always goes to the trade shows. They tend to be a little bit more supply side heavy. So I think we'll get some good perspectives.
It's funny you mentioned like the rapid fire type interviews that we had this fall, but just because of we were at these events and we grabbed somebody, hey, do you got 5 minutes just to talk to us? And we have a list of questions prepared. It was a real learning lesson from us being able to really kind of do that. And what was funny is you watch some of these creator, content folks out there, and they got their professional camera crews and their light setups, and there comes you and I with our little ghetto setup with an iPhone and little ring light that we were walking around the show floor, and little lavaliers that we bought off Amazon. It worked, but it was just funny because I'm like, boy, that looks like a really professional camera they've got over there, and they're all mic'd up, and then here comes us just walking through. The little lights flopping off, and I'm trying to keep it tied onto it, and you're having to hold there and try to be as steady as we can when the other person's interviewing it. That was fun though, but hopefully we're going to be able to maybe start to rent some of these better, bring in some a videographer for some of these future events to make it so that we can both be a part of those interviews at the same time.
Yes. Well, we run this on a budget, Rusty. So we had to get scrappy and creative, and it's not like we've got, money coming out of our ears for a production crew. But if there's anybody listening who wants to be an unpaid intern and follow us around a trade show, we can promise you really good time. Maybe not a whole lot of money, but a really good time. So
A
it'll be
great
great.
time,
But I'm
yeah.
with you. It's always been super fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also learned what color shirt not to wear because you have these wardrobe malfunctions, like at impressions. I had that really dark shirt on, and it was just, I couldn't raise my arms because I was just sweating. I was like, so if you look at any of those interviews, you go back to those, I was not allowed to raise my arms because it was frightening. But, nice thing about doing it in our studios, our own, recording on Zoom or on this platform, we don't have to worry about it. We don't have wardrobe malfunctions like we did in the spring.
That'd be kind of crazy. But now I feel like you're going to jinx it and we're going to have some sort of Zoom wardrobe malfunction. My cat's going to make another appearance. I think she was on one of our first episodes. So that'll be
Yeah,
my
it was
malfunction.
rubbing through the back of behind you in the bed or whatever. Somebody thought there was a ghost. I think we should talk a little bit about our predictions that we had. I want to say one of our very first episodes in 2025. We laid out some predictions for the year. And I think it's only fair to let's see how those are coming along and where we stand.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to give us some credit, Rusty. I think we came pretty close to hitting the nail on the head this far into the year. I mean, the year's not over. We still have 4 months left. But one of our big predictions was M&A and
Yeah.
consolidation, and that has certainly come true. We were chatting. I think you said that you thought there'd be 5 deals, something like that, or something north of that, at least one a quarter. And we're getting close,
Cinco.
I believe. Cinco. So what are the deals?
I've got three substantial ones. I've got three that I feel like because we're not tracking. There's been a whole bunch of small ones, but the ones that were newsworthy, as you like to say, I've got Snappy Cover, SNS-Fast, and the one that just literally hit this week, Gildan-Haynes brands.
Yeah, Gildan-Haynes is big.
That is a big one.
Yeah, that's a
That's
really
a
big
big one.
deal. SNS Alpha Broder too, because that was a big deal from last summer. They launched their integrated website and ordering platform and everything in Q2 too. So we've seen, not just new in M&A, but older M&A too, get a lot more integrated. I think Printful Printify have done the same thing. So
Absolutely.
that theme of M&A has definitely continued.
It is, and it's kind of set the tone. And you even called out that there's still a lot of money out there in play, right? You have the private equity that is influencing the industry. There's just a lot of green space. I think we're going to hit 5 for sure. I know there's probably one out there, one or two are probably in the works somewhere out there that hasn't really hit yet or we're aware of, but there's always those surprises. Like, I don't think anybody saw Gildan-Haynes brands happening and boom, all of a sudden. I know SNS-Fast, that was not one, and all of a sudden ASI Chicago, people were running around like, oh my God, I'm like, yeah, it dominated the landscape there. It's part of the ecosystem and the financial environments that we're in, which is great. I think it's healthy for the industry to have this consolidation.
Yeah, I think it is too. And it's not surprising, just given the state of the overall economy, the industry is still coming down from the COVID bubble and then correction. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of great businesses out there in this space. And there's value to be had. There's value to create by bringing together. And you and I talk all the time about partnerships. And
Yeah.
so it's not just been M&A, but I think it's seeing companies continue to get creative in how they work together because we're all looking for the same thing in this space, which is growth and new opportunity and to help brands and the supply side or the demand side of the world tap into what print on demand and our supply chain can offer. So what better way to do that than to work with somebody that's better at something else that you're not as good at and you come together and the sum of the parts is greater than the whole.
100%. You don't have to do it all yourself. And I think we've proven that in the print on demand space is the more collaborative we all are, the better it's going to be. And if somebody's got distribution and I've got demand, put them together and it works for both parties. And you're going to, will be a growth trend as well that I think we'll see. The other less, I mean, there obviously from our trends in January, consolidation was number one. In fact, I think about that episode, we just kept coming back. We wanted to get to that so early on in that conversation. We had to really kind of hold ourselves back. But some of the other things that we talked about, growth of the enterprise B2B, I'd give that probably a B minus as far as it's there. It hasn't taken like wildfire yet. I don't know if I really necessarily called out it was going to be like wildfire, but I did say we're going to see the growth. We're seeing it. The adoption still isn't there. There's still friction there. I still talk to distributors and suppliers that are still, the analog part of that industry is still very much a part of it. And in order to be able to unlock that, they need to move and migrate and adopt the digital technologies that are out there.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're totally right. But I do think though, maybe that one has been a little bit slower, but print and promo, those worlds have continued to come together. That was a big thing we talked about in January.
Yeah.
And that feels, weekly we're seeing print on demand and print and promo and all these lines that used to be much more distinct. It's all continuing to blur. And I definitely feel that. I know you do too on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and I find that very exciting, and it's great for everybody a part of that, right? It's great for the fillers, it's great for the platforms, and it's great for the end users because they can get everything in one bucket. We also talked about the other prediction or trend was more tech software, which I think is kind of goes back to this: is how do you get all print and promo everything in there at once, but better tech and software to help solve some of the challenges of enterprise adoption. That to me, those kind of go hand in hand. You called out, which I thought was right on, is more AI. We're starting to see that. And you didn't say, you said the beginning. You didn't say it was going to be all in, but you said the beginning to get tested and helping solve workflow and routing. I'd give that an A minus or a solid A.
Yeah, I think it's in there. I mean, I listen to a lot of like on my personal time, I listen to a lot of content about tech and AI and just how it's transforming our world, not just software, but just the world that we interact with as people. And I think the print on demand and print industry is broadly following a lot of what's happening in other industries is that there's a good amount of money going into it. There's a lot of people who are really interested in it, but we're still at the very early stages of what AI can bring. I don't know from a Guten standpoint, right? We've done a bunch of proof of concepts and a lot of tests and a lot of iteration, and that's kind of how you have to approach AI. And that's what I've heard from a lot of other companies as well. It's just if you could be nimble, try to put a bunch of different projects lined up, half of them are going to work and half of them probably aren't, but definitely we're still in the early stages. But it's going to be something I think we keep talking about for the next couple of years, honestly.
Well, I think it's here forever. It's going to be core,
Yeah.
and we're going to be talking about it because we're living it. That's something that I always take away from you is from a leadership standpoint is you really empower your people to really go out there and find proof of concepts. And hey, great, you think this is going to work with AI? How does it impact our business? You give them the budget, go and run with it, and come back and let's see how we can incorporate it. To me, that's what more and more businesses should be doing. What leaders need to be doing when it comes to AI. It's not the big scary monster. And I look at it as AI is not there to replace us. I look at it as how do we get 4, 5, 10x more productivity from the people that we already have, right? I don't need to go hire 10 more people. I don't need to replace you. I need you to be able to be more productive, more efficient. That's the power of it.
It is. And we don't usually plug other content on this, but I will say for anyone who's listening, There's a great episode about enterprise AI adoption by A16Z, one of the big venture capital firms. It's from June or July, and they do an hour and they talk about enterprise AI adoption and how you can roll it out in your business and what works and what doesn't do it. So there's a lot of content out there if people are listening to think about, what are some of the business leaders at the cutting edge of tech? How are they thinking about driving AI transformation in their teams? So uh, these are I steal from other ideas who are smarter than me, Rusty. So like I said, I listen to all these things. I'm like, how do we apply this to print on demand and print? Because our industry is unique. We've got to have a unique approach to it. But it all does come from empowerment, right? Give the people the tools who know what's going on and help them do their jobs better.
Absolutely. That's a great call. We'll make sure to link whatever the episode that we called out in the show notes.
Yep.
Two more I had was production technology, DTF, the continue to evolve and continue just to gaining traction. 3D printing, not so much. I'm probably pissing off the people that are in 3D printing, but I'm just shocked that we have not seen more in 3D printing coming into this space because it just seems like it's an absolute ideal fit. Whatever. I don't know why. And the last one I had was micro facilities, the emergence of micro facilities. We're seeing it. It hasn't made its presence felt yet, but there's definitely a few firms out there that are dabbling.
Dabbling. Yes. And I wonder too, and this is just my guess, this is not a statement based off of fact or conversation I had with someone, but tariffs have been, and the uncertainty, it's thrown our business for a loop. I know it's thrown your business for a loop. Pretty much everybody I've talked to, it's consumed a lot of brain space thinking about price changes and tariffs and global trade and all of that. I wonder if that slowed some of the R&D and advancement and rollout of some of those new technologies like 3D printing. I don't know, right? Because I think everyone's been wrapping their head around it. And we predicted that early this year with some of that uncertainty, but it's been a pretty crazy couple of quarters with all of that. And I wonder how that's impacted the rollout of new innovations. I don't know, but it seems like it could be related.
I agree. And I'm glad you brought that up because beyond just our looking back to like where we kind of stack with our predictions from the year, looking at what's happening in the industry as it relates to the field, right? When I'm out, we're talking to people the tariffs have I think a big part of this. When I'm out there talking to everybody, I get this, it's a weird dynamic when it comes to the economy. People aren't like running scared and but they're not running excited. It's just this like kind of like this, like they're like almost sitting on their hands, waiting for someone to say it's okay, but nobody's willing to do it. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing. It's just, you've seen some very strategic layoffs. It hasn't been widespread, but pretty pointed cuts. It feels like people are just trying to stabilize a little bit, but at the same time, they're not really accelerating growth either. I don't know. I've done a terrible job at probably explaining that, but that's just that wonkiness out there and the economy.
I agree. I would say wonkiness, I agree, as a good term, kind of a malaise a little bit. I've
Malaise.
had
God,
so
see,
many
you're
people
so
ask
good at coming
me,
up with stuff that sounds so much better than me. Wonkiness, malaise. All right. So now we
well,
kind
there
of know
you
where the
go.
brain power is on
That's why
this.
we play off each other well.
Yeah, dumb and smarter. You know,
Well,
I'm the dumb.
welcome to Print on Demand. You're not dumb, Rusty. You just love to play that game. It helps you. It helps you in many ways.
Yeah, I like to
Oh,
think
but
that.
anyway, what I was saying is like there's just this like kind of malaise a little bit. I don't know, it was pretty back to back. It was like June, July. I was catching up with some people. I know you do this too, kind of quarterly catch ups, or I haven't talked to you in a while. How's your business? What's up? And everybody asked me the same question. How's the industry doing? And I was like, well, how do you think it's doing? And everyone's like, like you kind of get the same answer. How's your business doing? And I've heard a lot of good, not great. And, people have bright spots of this part's okay, but this part's not so good. And it's exactly that. It's this kind of wonkiness, malaise, like, I'm being a bit conservative. I'm being a bit aggressive in places, but I don't really know what to do. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that affects Q4 and next year and just the general kind of sentiment. But yeah, it kind of blah, I would say in some ways. It's another word for it.
I would say malaise. I would just say a good strong malaise.
Good one.
Yeah, normally I would say wonkiness, but I'm going with malaise now. No, it is 100% it. That's funny that you get the same question I get too. So you have to throw out the outliers, right? Because you'll talk to somebody and they're like, yeah, we're up like 30%.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. I wish everybody was up 30%. Then you talk to somebody, they're down 10%. And then, but the majority seem to be low to mid single digit growth, year over year growth. I'd say 5-6%, 4 to 6% seems to be, so we'll call it 5% growth year over year. It seems to be the norm right now, is what I feel, and we see it in our business as well. You've got these different pockets that go up, but it's not where we want it. We would love to see the double digit growth, but hell, I'll take a single mid to high single digits growth is great. When it's a malaise out there in the economy, you want to have some growth. No wonkiness, though.
Is that going to be the episode title?
I think
The
so.
wonkiness malaise of print on demand?
The strength of malaise. Welcome back.
We're going to use the word so many times we don't even know what it means anymore. I feel like one of those things.
I've already
Just start
forgot
saying
what it means.
mayonnaise or something that
Yeah.
sounds like malaise.
I'll take some malaise on my bologna sandwich. So we're seeing the world the same way, which is always good because that means there's consistency out there. I hope that the second half of the year, with now that there's at least a truce on the China-U.S. tariff, that you have 90 days, there's an opportunity. There's a short, powerful window for people to make some buys, shore up their inventory, get everything done. There's some, I feel like that's probably going to make people feel a little bit more comfortable. It removes that uncertainty that's been affecting a lot of the supply chain, because you can get stuff, you have 90 days to get things in.
Yes, I agree. I think that's a big win for the industry. The other thing, and before we wrap up here, and we can talk about this in future episodes, shipping. I want to do a whole episode on shipping, Rusty, because I think it's such a big part of our industry. It's crazy. We've had so many rate increases and surcharges and all of this. And I would love us to get a shipping expert on and talk about what's happening on the kind of freight shipping side of the world. Because you've got the tariff uncertainty, but I feel like shipping to me is a whole other category of change and uncertainty in our industry that we should talk about too.
It has put so much pressure on everyone. I'm not sure what the overall percentage of an overall order freight is, but on POD, it's pretty substantial, because the fact that you're talking about usually a typical lower average order size, and all of a sudden you've still got this big freight cost in there. Amazon is going to play, I believe, they've got some interesting solutions that people are exploring out there. And what I'm seeing and hearing, they're going to put some pressure on UPS and FedEx, which is really needed.
Yes, yes. I think competition in shipping is good. And yeah, for POD, it's like 40% of the total order value a lot of time. If you think about it, $8 shirt, $5 flat shipping charge.
That makes sense.
38% of the overall landed cost. So it's a huge topic, and it's a big draw on people's bottom line and all of that. So that's something we're keeping an eye on, because we always go into Q4 and we're so used to the surcharges and overages and everything this year. But I think we should talk more about that too, because it affects everybody's business.
Let's count on that. We're going to find some good shipping people. I think we within our networks, we've got probably some people that we can bring in onto that conversation and have probably 2 or 3, have a panel of guests talk about that. Have a good, strong debate.
Yeah.
That's what we need. We need some conflict on this podcast.
Well,
we need some real good, just kind of like 80s or 90s style talk show, Jerry Springer type of debate for conflict.
Yeah.
Never know. You never know. Anything else we should talk about in this back from summer break kickoff edition?
I don't think so. I think we hit the trends. We'll get some really cool interviews out soon. We love to hear from our listeners on topics and people and ideas and things that you'd find helpful. So drop comments in, find us. Rusty and I are both pretty active on LinkedIn. And so we always love it when we hear from people about feedback on the episodes, good, bad, ugly. Just let us know what we can do better. So excited to get our full back to school program well under swing.
We got to knock this rust off, right? We got to get back into our mojo. We got to get that, back in front of the mic and have these conversations. I do. I should probably say I've got to get back into it.
How does one knock the rust off a rusty pepper? Is it like
WD
rust is
40.
like an inherent part of the rusty
WD.
pepper?
It's WD
Oh,
40.
okay.
That's what I would use. Super
Let's get a
compound.
video of me trying that. Yeah. Derusting the rusty.
There's so much you can just derust. There's just it doesn't take much time for this thing just to go. This is spiraling out of
That's a good way to
control.
end it today, I think, then.
It
It
is,
is.
and so before we wrap up, let's talk about one, I think, important topic is we're excited to announce that we are moving over to the Print Island platform, which is basically generating a lot of really good content out there for the print promo and print on demand industries. And we'll be representing a lot on the print on demand side. So we're excited to be on that platform. You'll be able to check us out on not only Print Island official social sites, but also on all the major podcast platforms wherever you like to listen to podcasts. You'll be able to find us under Print Island official on those channels. So excited to be able to be on that platform. We'll still stay involved with D-Scoop. They're an amazing organization. This was just an opportunity we thought was the right one for what we were trying to accomplish with the podcast. So
Yes. Well, Rusty, we are super excited about our new partners with Print Island. As you said, D-Scoop and HP will always be very close friends and stay in partnership with them and do a lot with upcoming events. But I think it'll be a good opportunity for us to distribute the content and make it easier for our listeners too. We got a lot of feedback on that. So hoping that really helps. But thank you all for listening in, and we're excited for our next couple episodes and see you all soon.
see ya.